Welcome, Danita. Thank you so much for joining us at the Fortune COO Summit.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, Danita, as Kristen already alluded to, you spent years at the WNBA, president and COO of the WNBA Sparks. You've also worked at the NBA. You've now made this pivot to soccer, kind of an unconventional path. Talk to me about the skills and learnings you developed while in basketball and how it translates to your current role.
Yeah, I think one of the things working in the WNBA and the NBA family, you're going to get some of the best business practices. How you build your teams, the sharing of practices, those things from the foundational pieces in that league have made it what it's so great and what you see. And as the NBA season's about to tip off and we're in the midst of WNBA playoffs. So when I think about the MLS and part of the transition is MLS was sitting in a very similar state of where WNBA was. When I joined the MLS, they're at year 26. Similar to where the WNBA is, they're at like 28 now, going on 30. So the business itself for the MLS sat in a very similar spot of where it needed transformation, where it needed change and growth opportunities, specifically with World Cup coming in 2026.
Yeah. To your point, WNBA is seeing this huge surge of interest right now. When I think about soccer, globally it's quite popular. Within the US, historically, it hasn't been as popular as other competing sports. When you joined DC United roughly 4 years ago, what were your focus areas? What were the pain points at the time?
Yeah, I think part of the focus was reestablishing the business as a whole, reestablishing practices from a business that put us in the best class. We needed to, when I came in, it was right after COVID. So during that standpoint, needed to hire, restructure from an internal standpoint. I think I put my COO hat back on and think about how do we operationalize this business quickly, knowing what we have coming ahead in 26. So it was reestablishing our partnerships, understanding structure from the inside, building a new team to go along with that, to really drive the business forward and start to engage.
Yeah, let's break this up into 3 chunks, because when I see people with roles like yours, especially when they're coming in the early days and it's very nascent, I say, where on earth do you begin? So talk to me about the beginning, the middle, and the end stage of operationalizing this process.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things in the beginning is building trust. People don't really move for you, or they don't really react in different ways unless they have a sense of trust. So I really live off of 3 C's. It's the simple form that I've learned over the years of going in and helping to transform businesses: consistency, commitment, and communication. So in the first stage of that is consistent behavior by me as a leader, how I show up each day, how I work with my team each day. That consistency really helps to drive a mimic of behavior and trust between myself and the team. The communication is learning from them, the different communication styles, building on their style versus my style. How do we mesh? How do we find a middle ground? And once we start to build that communication funnel, it's really then the commitment to the work, right? So we've been consistent in how we work, we're communicating well, and we have a level of strong commitment to build the business and move it forward. So those are like the phases of like how we start to really go. And then from there, you have that first year to 2 years, and you're looking at like the small problems, right? And you're strategizing for the longer term problems at the same time. And where do you get your big wins? In years 3 to 5, I'm really, and that's kind of where I'm sitting with my club currently, is, okay, we've been here. We've been in this, we've been in a rotation. How do we transform and go even to the next height? And so at this time, it's, do you have the right people? You know, we have those quick changes in the beginning. Now that you've had your team with you, it's reevaluation. Do we have the right people? Are we using the right strategy? And is it building towards a long term for us? And now I sit and get ready for the next 5 years. It's taking it to the next level. Those big ideas, implementation, making sure that the structure we built underneath is strong enough to support the change in which we want to create.
Yeah. You consider, well, you first of all say that you're very people first, and I want to know what that means in practice. You also say that you're a systems thinker as you think about efficiency. What does that look like in practice? Can you share any anecdotes?
Yeah, what a people first is I need people to move with me, right? We can all stand here and say and understand our practices, but my people first is making sure I'm investing in their development, creating connection with them, and helping them grow skills to be better at their business. And so examples in that is developing courses, bringing in speakers, creating access to conferences and events so that they're developing personally. So that's my people first aspect and how I really try to dive into that. For the other areas, it's really about that next step of, I think you asked me about the, what was the next one you asked me?
Systems. You're very systems-minded.
So the systems come in because as I develop the people, they need systems to work within. So what are our processes that really help them actually be able to execute what I'm asking for? So I really try to look at different systems, whether it's the implementation of project management tools like Asana, Tableau that's giving them data visualization so they can keep track of what's flowing for them. I think in our world, it's very interesting because we go B2B and B2C back and forth all the time between dealing with fans to dealing with brands. And so it's a combination of building a system around that of communication, what the platforms are, and kind of creating a streamline for them there.
Yeah, you kind of touched on this. I want to zero in a bit more just in terms of how you are leveraging tech platforms, CRMs, to enhance front office productivity and some of the results you've seen thus far.
Yeah, I think for us, it becomes, we actually start to learn our consumer. Right? That's the key. So for our staff.
And your consumer, how would you determine your consumer for DC United?
Yeah, we have a couple of different, we have like 2 to 3 different types of consumers that we really look at. We look at somebody that is family oriented. We look at family, that's going to be like our primary. They take up a big bulk of our base. Then next we have the entertainment seeker. So somebody that's just looking for fun activities, things to do, hang out with their friends, whatever it may be. They're always looking for experiential aspects. And then we have our soccer enthusiasts, our purists. Our purists are the ones that really love the sport beginning to end, whether it's MLS. There's typically a differentiation in between those that watch like the European soccer leagues versus MLS. It's 2 different types, but those soccer enthusiasts really do help drive us.
Yeah. And so you're able to leverage technology to be able to.
Yes, so then we can create actual dynamic experiences for them and how we communicate direct to their needs. Through automation, through different platforms, our email platforms and communication, that really makes sure that everything that we do is tailored to have that voice and tone of that consumer in the work that we do.
Yeah. Perfect segue. Under your leadership, DC United has seen, or I should say has hit new attendance records, so congrats on that. As you think about how you mint new fans, are you focused locally, internationally? What's the thinking there? And it's also quite interesting because I'm a DMV native, so I know DC is quite diverse, a thriving Black population, one that's quite affluent as well. So just how are you thinking about minting new fans?
Yeah, I think for us, it's meeting them where they are. And I think for us in the U.S. as well, it's many, when we talk about, like, I'll talk specific to the African-American audience, right? A lot of our African-American audience doesn't necessarily experience soccer in the same way beyond maybe a 3 to 5 age year when their kids are playing when they're very young. A lot of that has to do with the systems and the processes of how you elevate to a professional level and what that looks like. So one of the things that we work on is a pathway to pro. So people from diverse communities have a better understanding of actually how does the system work to play at the highest level. Because right now it's very clear when it comes to the NFL or the NBA, how you get there, how you make that money, how it grows your career. And NIL has added a whole new layer to that for so many folks. In MLS and soccer, there's multiple layers. The opportunity to go play overseas, the opportunity to stay in the States, and really educating on that, I think can actually help more play. And if we have more kids playing soccer at a high level, we're going to develop our own stars in the U.S. When we develop our own stars in the U.S., the sport will continue to grow and have a higher propensity to succeed in the U.S., similar to what you're seeing overseas.
Yeah. Let's look to the future. DC United ranks among the most valued MLS franchises, an estimated value of $775 million. Where does future growth lie? Where do you see opportunities to really optimize and streamline business processes as you move forward?
Yeah, I think for us, it's going to be through technology. I know there's been a lot of conversation around that. I think creating operational efficiencies through technology. Our seasons are long. Things go back to back. It's really fast moving. The more that we can integrate that to know the consumer, to have touch points with the consumer that are very personalized, the more you will walk in here and be like, I feel like Danita Johnson and DC United are talking directly to me, then we're doing our job.
Yeah. Well, as I said already, I'm a Maryland native. We don't have our own sports team. DC is our sister city, so I have a new sports team to support. Thank you so much, Danita, for this insightful conversation.
Thank you.